So, Governor, you're back here in Iowa, and people want to know, what are your future plans in terms of 2016 and a possible presidential run?
Sure. My wife and I, we're thinking about whether we run in 2016. We'll be doing that over the holidays, make our decision the first half of next year. This is the most important issue I see in the upcoming election. If we were to decide to get in, I think it's about restoring the American dream for our children and grandchildren. President Obama has made the American dream all about redistribution, all about government spending, government borrowing. Americans are rightfully worried whether our kids will inherit the same opportunities we inherited from our parents. The American dream is not about guaranteed outcomes, it's guaranteed opportunity. The American dream is the circumstances of your birth don't determine your outcomes as an adult. The American dream is you don't have to be born to wealthy parents in the right zip code, to the right neighborhood to do great things in our country. More and more, I think the American people have seen that the left, their policies don't work. Whether it's on energy, on foreign policy, on healthcare, on education, their ideas don't work. They're looking for big and bold ideas from conservatives. So I think this election has got to be about big ideas, about restoring growth and opportunity for our kids.
The big political news of the day, this federal judge in Pennsylvania has ruled that President Obama's executive amnesty is unconstitutional. Not a surprise to you that it's unconstitutional, but perhaps a surprise that a judge ruled that way.
Absolutely. Well, we keep saying that the president's a smart man, a constitutional scholar. I've said before, I think he should get his tuition money back from Harvard Law School. I don't know what he learned in 3 years at law school. This is clearly a violation of the law, clearly a violation of the Constitution. We have separation of powers for a reason. We don't have dictators in this country. If he wants to pass a law, he should go to the House, go to the Senate, and convince them to change the law. He can't just decide. I know he's done it with Obamacare. He decides which parts of the laws he wants to apply, which parts of the law he wants to ignore. I'm glad the judge ruled this way. We're actually part of a lawsuit with Texas and other states also trying to force the courts to recognize this is unconstitutional. We need our congressional leaders to stand up to this president, make him follow the Constitution, make him follow the law. He is not the first president to disagree with the Congress. He may be the first president to consistently just ignore them and do what he wants. Let's think about how we got here. At the beginning of the year, he says he wants to do amnesty. He then says, I'm going to postpone it until after the election because I know it's unpopular and I don't want to hurt my candidates.
Right.
Says my policies will be on the ballot. Well, his candidates, Kevin, they lose in purple states, red states, and blue states. After the election, remember, this was the president who used to say the elections have consequences when he was winning. He loses, so after the election, ignores the American people, ignores the law, ignores the Constitution, does it anyway. Here's where I'm looking. I'm looking for Democrats who may even agree with this president on substance to stand up and say, this is wrong. This is a bad precedent. We don't want a Republican president to be able to ignore the law and the Constitution. Mr. President, you need to stop doing this. I'm also looking for the president, if he wants to issue an executive order, he needs to just secure the border. If he really wants to do something, that's within his power, that's within his responsibility. So I think this is a good victory. I don't think it's going to be enough to stop this president. I think we need more victories to force this president to follow the Constitution, follow the law.
Last question. Of course, we talked about this last week, the omnibus bill, and a lot of conservatives are upset that it passed. The Department of Homeland Security funded through February. What do you hope Congress does now?
Well, look, you're exactly right. 1,600-page bill. I'd be curious how many of them actually read it before they voted for it. I thought only the Democrats were doing that, voting for bills so you find out what was in it. Over $1 trillion. And here was the crazy thing. You heard our own leaders. So the alternative is we would pass a shorter spending bill, and that would only get us to the beginning of the next Congress. What's wrong with that? Then we don't have to negotiate. We're not looking at a Harry Reid-dominated Senate. Instead, we have a majority that we elected, the American people elected. So it's just so frustrating. We have given the majority in the Senate and in the House to the Republicans for a reason. We want them to govern as conservatives. What I'm looking for next year, when we do have the majority in the Senate, we've got the majority in the House, yes, we force this president to follow the law when it comes to his executive order on amnesty. I'm also looking for us to repeal and replace Obamacare. I'm looking for energy independence, not only Keystone, let's produce on federally owned lands and waters. Let's also stop the EPA from smothering the economy. Let's rebuild our military. Let's stand with Israel. Let's rebuild our foreign policy so our friends trust us, our enemies fear us. Let's give real meaningful choice to parents when it comes to education. Let's get Common Core out of our classrooms. There are things that we can do as conservatives that help to rebuild the American dream. Now, here are what the skeptics are going to tell you. The people in D.C. will tell you, you can't balance the budget. You can't repeal Obamacare. You can't stop amnesty. You can't. Well, you know what? Hillary Clinton started in the 90s trying to take over our healthcare system. They were at it for 16 years. So what if it takes us a little bit of time to get our freedoms back? This is a fight worth fighting. So I'm looking for this Congress to do what we elected them to do, which is to lead as conservatives, not cheaper Democrats, not as a second liberal party. Make a real difference. Show the American people we believe that the American people are smart enough to lead their lives. Not a top-down approach, not a Jonathan Gruber approach where they think we're stupid, a bottom-up approach where you trust the American voters.
Governor, thanks so much, and welcome back to Iowa.
Thank you. Great to be here.